we go. Okay, we did it.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to give everybody a minute to log on. Okay, I think we can probably go on ahead and get started, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our Mulberry Talent Partners Job Search Workshop today. We're so happy to have you here. Today, we're joined by Lauren Francis, who is the founder and president of Mulberry. I'm Laura. I am the Operations and Marketing Director. We have Kayla Teeple, who is our Talent Acquisition Coordinator. And we're excited to introduce Lindsay Sarens, who is our newest Talent Acquisition Coordinator. Welcome, Lindsay.
Welcome, Lindsay.
We're so happy to have you here.
Everyone. Happy to be here. Excited.
So if you're new to Mulberry, just a quick introduction. We are a staffing and recruiting agency headquartered here in Portland. We specialize in HR, professional and financial office, payroll and operations positions for direct hire, temp to hire, and contract positions. And then another sort of new thing that we've added on to our suite of candidate support are these bi-weekly 30-minute workshops. We started them, I believe we launched in April. They are just quick 30-minute workshops. We typically have industry experts. All of them are recorded, and we have all of the recordings online available on our website, and I'll share that link after this webinar is completed. So jumping in, Kayla is going to give us some of her great cover letter advice, and she's put together a really great comprehensive guide that we will also share after this workshop.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm really excited. So here are some do's and don'ts for cover letters. Do introduce yourself. Use a quick little catchy catch line. Are you a student? Are you working in HR? What are you doing? Where do you want to go? So just make sure you introduce yourself so they know who you are. Another one is tie your background and skills to the role. What have you done in your previous roles, and where can you go in this role? What can you contribute? What have you contributed to past roles that can, go into this role as well. Show your passion for the company. Why are you here? Why are you applying to this job? What excites you about this role? What excites you about the company? Are there initiatives that they're starting that you're excited about? Are you really excited about HR, or did you just get your degree and you're so excited to use it? And then another do is keep it to one page. Short is sweet. A long cover letter with a lot of words in a big paragraph can be a little bit daunting to read. So, just give them a quick synopsis of who you are and, where you can take the company and where you can grow with them. A don't is don't repeat your resume or the job description. They have the job description, they wrote it, they know what it means. They have your resume, and your resume does do your work history. So this is a cover letter is an opportunity to, talk about your soft skills. What have you contributed in previous roles? What's a, initiative or what's an accomplishment that you're really proud about that you can't really express in your resume? Don't bring up salary. Salary is normally discussed later, and it's just not an appropriate time to talk about on your cover letter. And don't write the wrong information. Make sure if you're including an address, it's the correct address. If you're addressing it to somebody, make sure their name's spelled correctly. Make sure that their name is correct. Make sure the company name's correct. Make sure your name is correct. So make sure that you really look at those little details, because not only, does it reflect great on you, but it shows that you have a very detail-oriented cover letter. You can do the research and say, oh, who's the hiring manager at this company? You can research Mulberry Talent Partners, and we get cover letters addressed to Lauren Francis. And that's an extra little touch that's really helpful. And they spell Lauren Francis correct, which is also great. Things to set yourself apart: be thoughtful. And this also ties into demonstrate well-researched interest. So that includes, use Google. Google's your friend. Google the employee. Google the company. Google the employees there. Go on LinkedIn. See what their past work history is like. What are, Google News articles? What are initiatives that this company is engaging in that sets them apart from other companies? And make sure you tie all those exciting things into your to your cover letter. What are their missions and their values, and how does that align with you and where you want to go? And those little details, those little personal details, are what really stands out, rather than just, you know, a cut and dry cover letter that's copy and pasted. But that's what employers really want to see. Most companies are really excited about their company, I would hope, and they want you to be excited too. And this is a great opportunity for you to show that. Thanks.
Thanks, Kayla. That was great.
Yeah, thank you, Kayla. I just wanted to add, we have some questions that we're going to take at the end that were pre-submitted, but if anything pops up, feel free to use the little Q&A button on here to submit your own questions, and we can see if we have some time for those at the end. Okay, moving along, we're going to pass it over to Lauren to talk about some communication basics, which is a really big passion of ours here at Mulberry.
Hi, everyone. Communication basics it's a huge issue for us, or not an issue, it's an opportunity really. But we're passionate, extremely passionate about delivering exceptional customer service. And we say that customer service is in our DNA, and it's true. And customer service, thoughtful communication, high touch communication, all of those are very important to Mulberry. And it's always great to be a receiver of someone who is thoughtful, communicates in a attentive way, and is quick to respond to our inquiries and to be engaged. It really shows engagement, and that is just a very important part of this process. So one is to respond quickly to inquiries, whether it's a phone, a text, or a email, particularly if you're in a job search mode. So whether it's through Mulberry or through directly to an employer or a recruiter, an internal recruiter that's working inside an organization, it does set you apart when you are quick to respond and have a thoughtful and are thoughtful in your communications. Pay attention to the details, which, you know, again, wanting you to make certain that you're responding to what's been asked, or, you know, providing the information that was asked for. And then be professional, thoughtful, and appreciative. You know, Mulberry is partners with many staffing agencies in Portland, and if we're working with a candidate that we don't have the right role, and they are a standout candidate. And a standout candidate would mean a lot of things, but one of the most important things is these professional and thoughtful and appreciative communications. And what it does is it shows us a lot about someone, and we're more likely to want to refer that person just because we've had such a good experience with them, and our feeling about that candidate is so positive. So we would then we would, you know, more likely refer you to a job that we have, or to a partner that we're working with. And each touch point is an opportunity to connect and to create community, connection, and relationship. Does anyone else have anything to say from our panel about this particular area?
Yeah, just to add on to that, each touch point is an opportunity. Oftentimes what happens if a candidate receives a communication from a hiring manager that they were not selected for the position, sometimes a candidate might feel like, I'm not even going to respond to that, because they're upset. And they feel like it's not necessary to respond, but really you should always respond with grace. I mean, act as if you were still moving forward in the process in terms of just being thoughtful, appreciative of their time, and wishing them all the best in the future, because you never know if there's going to be another position. This person is somebody who is now in your network, and so you want to, you know, keep that that communication line open. And so if you respond really thoughtfully, they're going to remember that, versus if they feel like they've sort of just hit a blank wall, because they're not happy to share this news. They enjoyed meeting you. You just weren't selected maybe for, you know, some other reasons. And so it's really important to keep that line of communication open.
Thanks, that's great.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're just going to share a little bit about thank you notes. This is a question that comes up a lot with candidates, and it's something that we're always happy to help with here at Mulberry. So do's. Send one, absolutely send one. Even if it's just a basic first phone interview, always send a follow-up thank you note that expresses your interest in the position. That's something that's really easy to miss sometimes, but it's okay to kind of ask for the job in a polite way, and just expressing your continued interest in the role and looking forward to hearing the next steps. Show gratitude for their time. That's something that, is just basic, polite communication. But again, it's something that can sometimes be easy to miss. So moving on to the don'ts, we say don't delay. Send it the same day. Because if you don't, the person on the other end is saying, I wonder if they're not interested because I didn't hear a quick follow-up communication from them. Don't send a form letter from Google. It'll come across as a Googled form letter. Put your own spin on it. This is a chance for you to demonstrate your writing skills. In any sort of professional position, it's important that you are able to send a nice basic communication. And don't lose sight of the details. This kind of goes back to what Kayla was saying. Make sure you spell their name right. Make sure you put the right company name in. I think so often when we're applying to a lot of different positions, maybe we'll copy over a thank you note, and it's really easy to just click send without double checking those details. And that could make all the difference. A way to stand out is to make sure you personalize it to each recipient. If you interviewed with multiple different people, you need to send an email to each individual person. If you don't have their emails, what you can do is send it to the person who organized the interviews for you. I think it's a little harder now because typically in an in-person interview, you could ask for a business card. That's a little hard to do when you're on a Zoom interview these days. So you could send it to the person who organized and ask them to distribute it. And that's something that if you're working with a staffing agency, they're always going to be happy to do. And then the last thing is to weave in specifics from the interview. A way to really stand out is, if you want to expand on an answer that maybe you didn't feel like you answered appropriately or adequately, that's a good opportunity to, say, I thought about your question a little bit more, and I just wanted to share that I did XYZ in my last position, and I think it could really be a good fit for this role. Or you could say, you shared X about your company, and gosh, that really, don't say gosh, but that really stood out for me and got me even more excited about the opportunity to join your organization. So it's about taking that extra step. And these emails, they take you maybe 15, 20 minutes to write, but it can really make all the difference, especially if you're sort of toe-to-toe with another candidate. Okay, so I'm gonna jump into the questions. And we actually had a good one come in that I thought maybe we could just jump into first. So Joan asks, what exactly do you mean by introduce yourself? Can you give an example in a cover letter, Kayla?
Yeah, definitely. So by introduce yourself, it kind of means you say, like, if I was writing a cover letter, I say, hi, my name's Kayla Teeple. I am a current talent acquisition coordinator at Mulberry Talent Partners. I have X amount of years of experience, and I'm looking to grow my career in this way. If you're a really great writer, a lot of people have, good hooks that they're able to say. I know we have an example that says, sitting on the back of the plane is where I get most of my work done. I love working on the road. And that's what makes me so great in my marketing director role, is because I'm constantly looking for new opportunities. I'm not that great of a writer. So, but it's great to get creative. Make sure that you're, saying your name, saying what role you're currently in. HR in a lot of industries have a lot of specific, subsets in that. So HR has, benefits and compensation. Say, I'm a human resources professional that specializes in compensation, or specializes in benefits. So it just gives them an idea of who you are right off the bat and what you're looking for and how that could fit into their company. I hope that makes sense.
It does, and it does. And I know, Kayla, in the comprehensive guide that you helped to put together, I believe there's 2 cover letter examples.
Yeah, so we have some examples on there, and it'll help you develop, that hook in that introductory and give some examples. And Laura will be sending that out, and it'll also be on our website, correct? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, but we'll make sure that everybody.
We'll make sure that you guys have it.
Yeah. Okay, so this next question is, are there new standards and protocols for communicating with recruiters and potential employers that are evolving in the context of COVID-19? I'll go ahead and take this one. I'd say that the communication protocol remains the same. If anything, maybe you need to be a little bit quicker in responding. Because I think people are presuming that people are mostly home, people have access to their phone, to the internet, and so responding quickly is really important. I think all of our advice today with cover letters and communication and thank you notes kind of ring true whether or not we're in this pandemic world or once we're finally out of it. I will say that it's really important now to prepare yourself for virtual interviews if you haven't already. And we have put together a comprehensive virtual interview guide that's on our website under the candidate or job seekers section. And then we have 2 webinars that we completed a little bit earlier this spring. The first was with Mac Pritchard of Mac's List, where we did sort of an overview of how to prepare yourself for a virtual interview, among some other job interview tips as well. And then we had a workshop with Gigi Rosenberg, who's an accomplished public speaking coach, and she gave some fantastic advice on really how to stand out and show up on a virtual interview. So I will include links to those, but if you're eager to look and continue your education today, you can visit our website under the workshops tab to see those recordings. Okay, so this question is, what are the job titles seeing the most hiring activity during the pandemic? And what areas are you forecasting the greatest need will be over the next 6 to 12 months? I think Lauren would probably answer this best.
Yeah, so forecasting, we're seeing a lot of activity with temporary positions. So if you're open to contract or temp to hire or temporary positions, contracts, we recommend registering with multiple agencies because a lot of agencies have access to those positions. And if you're represented by an agency, you're more likely to get noticed that way. In terms of job titles, we're seeing a lot in e-learning, training and development, employee relations roles, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're receiving a lot of requests for either it's a title or it's a large part of the position. And then human resources is another area. Anything in human resources is very, very busy at the moment, I will say. In terms of industry, we see a lot of activity in healthcare, technology. Nonprofits are busier than ever, and we recommend either looking to volunteer if you're able to do that. That's a great way to get involved with an organization and to show your skills. I mean, if you are somebody that can do that and you happen to have a human resource background or a customer service background, they're in high need right now for a lot of staff. They have high staffing needs. And we also are seeing a lot in fulfillment and logistics.
Great, thank you, Lauren. We had a couple more questions come in. I'll just go on ahead and maybe sprinkle them in now. Do you only send an email thank you note, or do you write a thank you note and send it by snail mail?
I could say, I think email's probably best because it's the quickest. It's going to get there the quickest. I've had thank you notes sent to me within 20 minutes of the interview, which is excellent because you're walking away from the interview still thinking about it, and then you get that nice little cherry on the cake, and it's just great. I've also personally, depending on the job, I hand wrote a thank you note and I drove it out there and I dropped it off to them in person. And I know that made an impression as well. So as far as urgency, I would say do an email. But if you have the initiative, definitely handwrite that note and drive it out there. That'll for sure definitely leave a lasting impression.
I would say that probably applies mostly now.
Oh yes, definitely.
I would say at this time, I would say probably don't do it because people are less likely to
completely
want to open a piece of mail. But I think once we get out of this, that's a nice touch if you're able to do it, but it's by no means expected.
And I think a lot of offices might be closed too. So the email, it's going to get to them, the snail mail, they might not receive it.
Right, exactly. Good point. Here's another one that came in from Will. Should you reference you've been laid off due to COVID in your cover letter or in the interview?
I'll take that one because I was recently laid off right before I got this job. I did not reference it. I think right now it's something that is happening to a lot of people. I didn't put it in my cover letter. I didn't feel the need to. I do know some of my colleagues that did. It made them feel a little bit more comfortable, but I think that's also something that once you get to the interview stage, you can discuss and let them know that's the reason that you had to leave this position, the position that you were in, because you were laid off due to COVID or whatever else might have happened.
Great. Thank you, Lindsay. We're so happy to have you. So let's send this question over to Kayla. Any thoughts on how to tweak your resume or cover letter for remote positions?
Definitely. So, as you know, a lot of things are remote now. And so a lot of people have gained remote experience just within the last couple months. If you're a recent graduate and you're a student and your, last couple months were remote, that's remote experience that you can definitely chat about in your cover letter and in your resume. If your role was transitioned to remote, that's definitely something that you would want to put. So what we really recommend for, all of our candidates is, use your resume to be as communicative as possible of your work experience. So if you were remote for a couple months, put, Mulberry Talent Partners remote. If it was a contract role, make sure you put Mulberry Talent Partners, contract role, so that it displays, the length of time you were there, and it explains it a little bit more. And they look at it and they say, oh, so this person has worked remotely. Also, use all the tools and the software skills that you developed. Put that in your cover letter. We started using Asana and Slack and Zoom or whatever, meeting platform that you are using. If you're using Zoom through school, make sure you chat about that in your cover letter and show that you have those skills. Put that in your resume. Put that under your highlights and your technical skills and show that you have worked remotely. And also communication is key. I've worked in a remote role for several years before Mulberry. And the number one thing that I took away that I had from that is communication. It is so important that you communicate with your employer, you communicate with your coworkers really effectively. And that starts with, your resume. That starts with your cover letter and showing an employer that, yes, I can communicate effectively my work experience, what I can bring to the table, and what I've done in this cover letter and in my resume. And this really communicates my work history and what I contribute in a clear, concise manner. And all the little ways that you can show that you're an effective communicator and you have those tools, definitely put that in there. Because we all have some sort of remote experience that we can bring to the table at this point.
That's right. That's great, Kayla. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Okay, this question is a cover letter still relevant? And I would say it depends. It really can be kind of industry specific. I would say to really follow the lead of the application guidelines. If they ask for a cover letter, absolutely include the cover letter. If you already have one prepared and it's sort of easy for you to tweak, even if they don't ask for it, you could go on ahead and include that because it just shows a little extra effort on your part. I think it's always better to err on the side of caution. And so you never know if the person receiving your application is going to be looking for a cover letter. And so it's always better to include it. And if they ignore it, so be it, no harm done. And if they review it and say, wow, this person has really strong writing skills and maybe their experience isn't exactly the right fit, but I really liked how they explained their interest and how their qualifications could fit into the role. It's a good way to sort of, put your foot forward. Does anybody else have any ideas on that or?
Definitely. I mean, I think you might have touched on this a little bit, but for sure, make sure you're reading the actual job posting. Like I know for our internal Mulberry role, we specifically said, this is how to apply. Make sure you put a cover letter, make sure you attach a cover letter to your application. And that made a huge difference for us because writing is a critical element to what we do at Mulberry. Writing is very critical. And that cover letter really, stood out for us. Not only did it show you followed instructions, you knew how to apply to the job, but also it showed us our writing skills is a quick writing test for us. And it showed, all those soft skills and all those things that you can't really display in your resume all the time. That helped us, find a really good fit for our role, which is Lindsay. And so those are definitely things that you want to pay attention to and look at. And just, kind of keep in mind that your resume and your cover letter, that's your first foot in the door. So you want to make sure it has all the information that you have, everything that you could provide, an employer for them to say, wow, I have to have this person kind of idea.
Yeah, what about the quick apply feature? How do I mean, what would you recommend someone do in that situation?
Are you asking me, Lauren? Sorry.
I am asking you.
Oh, sorry. Quick apply. I would not recommend that. It can be good depending on the role. For our current internal role, quick apply showed that you didn't read instructions. You know, I think if it doesn't say on the actual, job description of the actual ad, please do this way or apply this way, I think it's okay to hit quick apply because we still look at those resumes for other roles. But it is just so important to make sure you're reading the actual instructions on how to do it. There's a lot of companies that say apply directly through our website. So that means they couldn't even be getting those resumes at all that you're doing quick apply. And quick apply also kind of shows that maybe you aren't researching that this is the right role for you. Maybe you're not researching that this is the right company for you. So it really just depends on the situation and what they're asking for. But the main takeaway is really make sure you're reading those application instructions because it's really going to make a difference for you.
Great. Thank you, Kayla.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kayla. So we had one other question come in. Maybe Lauren, this would be good for you. How do you answer the question, why are you interested in this role if you're looking to pivot into a new industry because yours was particularly hit hard by the pandemic?
So what would an example be?
Say someone worked in the events industry and maybe they're looking to transition into a new industry, sort of explaining why they're making that pivot.
Well, that's exactly right. What you just said, that the industry was affected dramatically, and the interest would be that you're looking to take the skills that you have, whether it's the most previous role or the roles that combined from the past, to basically move into a new industry or a new role. Mm-hmm. So it's important. And then too, on your resume, there's a lot of specifics that would help someone understand that. So for example, if you were, sometimes what we have titles to our roles. So for example, I'll just use HR for the point of this example, but if you're an HR coordinator, but you've been functioning and you're looking to go into, I don't know, media. I'm just not thinking of a good example right now. But sometimes what you can do is you can put in parentheses next to your title that role functioned as a something. So that would help you highlight that you are, although this was your title, that you are prepared and ready for this other role. And so titles, resume, people that look at resumes, hiring managers and recruiters such as ourselves, or internal recruiters, look at where three mainly they're looking for three pieces of information, and they are where you've worked, for how long, and in what role. And if you're looking to transition into a new industry, it's important that you are showing what skills you brought, and I mentioned this earlier, but what you bring and how that would make a difference in that new role. Mm-hmm. So there are different ways to do it, whether it's on the resume or in your cover letter.
Thank you, Lauren.
Can I add a little bit to that one?
Sure.
Because I think Lauren's example is perfect. I actually, a few years ago, I was in customer service and transitioned into recruiting, which seem extremely different, but the skills actually that I had from customer service were exactly what I needed to be a recruiting coordinator. And so I think if you really look at the job description and you see skills that stand out and you can do it, then absolutely go ahead and apply to the job. And I think a lot of people right now are very sensitive to the fact that there are jobs in the entertainment industry, restaurants, hosting, that you can't do that work right now. And so it's okay to kind of take a plunge and go into a different industry. But you really do need to, like Lauren said, you really do need to highlight the skills that are transitionable.
The transferable skills, yes.
Exactly.
And right now might be the good time to make that transition if it's something that you've thought about for a long time.
Right.
Take the plunge, as Lindsay said. So So just really quickly, these are our upcoming workshops. We'll include these. They're always on our website. And then if you have any suggestions about topics that you'd like to see, please let us know, because these are really built for, our Mulberry community and job seekers. So feel free to let us know. And then this is our contact information. So connect to us on LinkedIn. We share all of our webinars, all of our jobs, any other sort of relevant industry happenings. So connect to us there. And thank you all for joining us today.
Thanks so much, everyone. Good to see everyone.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Bye. So are we still broadcasting?
Oh, I think it's still.
Is it? What do I do now? Are we in? Is it just us now?
No.
No? What am I supposed to be doing?
Hit leave.
Hit leave. Where? End?
Bye, everyone.
Bye.